What's up, fam? This is gonna be your review of Growing Up Hip Hop, season 4, I think. I don't know the episode. I need to do a better job of writing this stuff down. I apologize, but it'll be in the description. But it's last week's episode, and y'all know I'm late, but it was last week's episode. So look, we're gonna get through this real quick because this episode ain't really give me a whole lot. So let me just go play by play. Master P, Pepper talks to Master P because she's like, look, I really don't know what to do with my relationship with my son. I really not understanding. And here's the problem I had with that whole conversation. I don't know if you're really that clueless, Pep, if this is for the show, or if you were purposely misleading Master P in this conversation. Because your son has been very clear with you about what his problem is. And you gave Master P the impression that this was about not having a father in the house, and you were mother and father, and how, he, you know, at least that's the impression I got. And then that's where Master P went with it. He went down this whole road of, well, you did the best you could. Sometimes sons just need a father in the house when there's no father. But one thing Master P did say, he was like, what kind of man you got around your son? And I took that to kind of mean something like, what kind of father figures did you bring around him? You might not add his father there, but what kind of father figures did you have around your son? But anyway, I'm going to psychoanalyze that. And so Master P says, look, I'm going to take the boys camping. You want me to take him with us? I'll talk to him. Pep's like, yes, that would be great. You take him. She said, but I also think, we need to go to therapy. And what's funny is, and I'm making this, I'm just going to say, generally speaking, black. Black people don't really do a whole lot of therapy. It seems like we're doing it more and more as of late. But like my parents' generation and generations before that, I remember talking to my mom about wanting to go to therapy. And my mom, my mother was like, why? You know what I mean? So when she mentioned therapy, I think she thought she was going to get a certain reaction from Master P. And Master P was like, I think that's a great idea. I think she thought he was going to be like, what you need to go to therapy for? But he was like, that's a good idea. I think that y'all could benefit from that. So she goes and she talks to the kids about it, telling them that she wants to go to therapy. And Egypt, of course, is like, I think that's great. But Tyran is like, I'm glad that you feel like there's a problem. I just don't think we need therapy to resolve it. Like, I don't think it's that deep. And I don't either. And I could be wrong because I'm on the outside looking in. But when they went to therapy, and I'll get to that in a minute. When they went to therapy, though, some things did come out. And the one thing that's interesting to always understand is there's perceptions involved in things. So Pep saw stuff from her perception. He saw things from his perception. So they did need to talk about these things. They did need to bring stuff out. I just don't know if they necessarily needed therapy to do it. But, it can't hurt. Shoot. Therapy can't hurt. Christania is moving to Vegas. They're going to do a little going away shindig for her. Come to find out she's got a cousin that she's meeting up with for the first time. One of El DeBarge's children. Now, I don't know how many children El DeBarge has, so I don't know where she falls in line. But she was not brought up with her father. She was not brought up as they say in the show, as a DeBarge. As a matter of fact, there must have been some hard feelings between El DeBarge and this mother and the family, because she said that the little girl, she's not a little girl, but the young lady said that growing up, she was made to feel like there was something wrong with being a DeBarge. Like there was something nasty about it. And so there's clearly some family issues with that, some family business with that. So Christina, of course, is a little hesitant because y'all know what happened before when the lady was saying she was James DeBarge's love child with Janet Jackson, and come to find out it was a scam. It wasn't real. It wasn't true, whatever. So she's a little hesitant, even though she knows this is really her cousin, but she's just a little hesitant about what the girl wants. Is it just about trying to be on the show? What is it about? But she meets up with her, and the girl seems cool, and so she invites her to the going away party. They have the going away party for her. Angela and Vanessa, well, Vanessa actually plans it, but Angela and Vanessa are there. All the girls are there except for Brianna, basically. And y'all know she was like, I don't want Brianna there. She's like, matter of fact, if y'all continue to hang out with my cousin, that's all well and good, but I don't want y'all to bring Brianna around her, because y'all know I don't rock with Brianna, and I don't want her talking shit about me to my cousin. And here go Egypt. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if she really liked her and Brianna really hit it off and they'd be really good friends. And Kristen Hill was like, no, it wouldn't be interesting. Like, no, that wouldn't be cool at all. So then we see, alright, so that was pretty much that. The big thing this episode was Boogie. Boogie got out of rehab. Now, here's the thing I don't understand. Now, Boogie got out of rehab and the next day had a pop-up shop for his merchandise. Talking about I'm just trying to get on with my merch and I'm just trying to get everything together. And he sent out a tweet. He sends a text to everybody talking about I'm out of rehab, having a pop-up shop tomorrow, everybody come through. Who does that? Who gets out of rehab and then the very next day has a pop-up shop? Rich people. Motherfuckers with money. Because how you even ordering merchandise? Are you in rehab doing business? I thought at rehab you're supposed to be focusing on rehabbing. But anyway, he has his pop-up shop. He invites everybody to come through. TT comes through. Brianna comes through. This motherfucker got champagne bottles he popping. Talking about I ain't drinking. But we gotta pop bottles. No, we don't. And Brianna even said that. She was like, I'm not understanding why you're having such, she used the term wet. Why are you having such a wet party and you just getting out of rehab? Like, dude, you can have soda and water. Don't nobody need to be popping no bottles for nothing. Like, you selling motherfucking t-shirts and sweatsuits and shit. Like, you don't need to be popping bottles. So I don't know how long this sobriety thing is going to last. I don't know what's going on with that. But then something really awkward happens. Brianna, they're talking, and Brianna asks him about his dad and everything. And, he's determined that he ain't going to really fuck with his dad. He like, well, my father said, don't call him until I'm fixed. Well, I ain't fixed yet. Like, I'm damaged goods. And Brianna was like, so you just going to be petty now? Like, your father loves you. If you called him, he would talk to you. So you just going to be petty about it? I ain't being petty. He told me don't call, so I ain't going to call. Like, anyway, Brianna was like, look, whatever. Like, you being real petty. So then it's this really weird segue. She says, yeah, well, I'm single. It really came out of nowhere. Like, he didn't say, how's your love life? As far as we know, she wasn't dating anybody before he went to rehab. So it was so out of left field. I was just like, wow, why is she talking about being single? Like, where is that coming from? And then she said something else about, well, I got somebody for you, Boog, but you don't need to know who that is yet. Like, this whole her feeling Boogie thing, the way they're bringing it into the show is just real awkward. It's just really, really weird and really, really awkward. I don't know. We see TT and Tyron, come to find out when Pep was on the road, whoever TT, I guess is Pep's sister, whatever, because they're cousins. Tyron and TT are cousins, so I guess it's Pep's sister or a really close family friend, and they just call each other cousins. But that's where he would stay when Pep was on the road. He was like, I grew up with her. Like, he was like, no disrespect to Egypt, but she was my first sister. Like, we grew up as brother and sister. And so he said, look, when we go to rehab, when we go to therapy, I want you with us because I know that Egypt will go along with whatever my mother says, and I feel like I need somebody there that's going to at least hear both sides and be objective about it, but also who was there and saw or understand somewhat where I'm coming from or understand my side of things. And so, TT was like, I got your back. She was like, I know how your mom can be sometime, and I got your back. I got you. So they get ready to go to rehab. I'll end with, I keep saying rehab, therapy. I'll end with them in therapy. But let me go back to this whole thing with JoJo. They go camping. So Tyron, Master P, JoJo, Lil Easy, E's son. I guess they trying to bring him onto the show like they bring out JoJo onto the show. And Romeo, they're all there. They're all camping or whatever. And it ain't no real campground. Like, the tent they stand in look like a one-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? It's furnished. If y'all look at Harry Potter, y'all know when they went to the Quidditch World Cup, and those tents they had, those bewitched tents where you open it up and it was like a whole apartment inside. Yeah, those were the kind of tents they had. And they had a full bathroom as an outhouse. Like, it wasn't no real camping trip. But I ain't mad at you. If you got the money, that's how you do shit. Fuck it. Because I ain't into no camping. If I have the money, I'm staying at the penthouse anyway. So I feel y'all. So Master P pulls Tyron aside and has a conversation with him. And as far as I'm concerned, I hate to say it like this, but the conversation. Okay, my battery's running low. But the conversation was sort of like some bullshit. And I hate to say it like that, but that's really what it was. It was some bullshit. But, because, again, Master P is coming from the point of view of your mom was doing this and that for you, and I know you ain't really had no father figure, but you gotta love your mother no matter what, and be there for your mother no matter what, and, you know, like, boom, boom, boom. And Tyrone is like, yeah, I hear you, alright, that's cool, yeah, that's right. But he's never questioned his mother's love for him. He's just saying that he feel like it ain't equally distributed. So, and of course, Master P was like, and if you ever need me, I'm here. You know, you can call me son. Blah, blah, blah. I appreciate where Master P was coming from with this, but I just feel like the problem between Pep and her son is misinterpreted in this situation. That's how I feel. But then they go to therapy. And while they're in therapy, what ends up coming up is their perception. They have a different perception on the way things were. For example, Pep said that at a certain point, Tyrone started shutting down from her and didn't really want her around. He was like 5th grade. He knew exactly when that happened. So something happened in that moment, in that time period, because he knew exactly when it was. She was like, yeah, that was around the time. So they never explored, at least on camera, they ain't explored what happened in 5th grade, but something clearly did. And Pep was like, he was like, she never came to any of my school concerts. She never came up to the school to see me in anything. And she was like, you told me you didn't want me to be there. Like, you told me you didn't want me to come. He was like, no. What I told you is don't be so extra when you come. He was like, you know, you showing up in fur coats and you're basically, she was showing up as Peppa. He was like, you know you extra. You know you dress extra. You know you are extra. All I was asking you to do was when you showed up not to put a spotlight on me. Not to make shit worse for me. Because he said, I took a lot of heat being your son. I got beat up. I got bullied. I got picked on because I was Pep's son. And then the way you would show up to the school did not help. Like, you would show up looking crazy. And so she was like, I'm a celebrity. I would cause attention even if I had on a sweatsuit. See, you're not hearing him. He never said, I don't want you to come to the school. He said, I don't want you to come to the school so extra. But it goes back to the perception and what they heard. But I do think they had a breakthrough because I think Pep did finally sort of hear something and say, you know what, I never wanted you to feel that way, and I never ever wanted you to feel like I didn't love you as much. He used the example of one time he asked her to play a video game with him, and she was like, no, I'm tired, I don't feel like it. Egypt comes in the room and wants to play volleyball. She gets up and goes outside to play volleyball. And she was like, well, how old were you? He was like 17. She was like, oh, so that means that Egypt was about 9. Okay, well, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. And from his point of view, it didn't either. Like, he doesn't get that there's an age difference that makes a difference. I asked you to do something, you said no. She asked you to do something, you said yes. And her thing was, you had me to yourself for 8 years. Like, you were 8 years in the game before Egypt even came around. But that's the point. I didn't have you for 8 years because for those 8 years before Egypt came around, you were on the road. You was salt and pepper. You was doing your thing. And then he even made another issue. He was like, and when you could be around, you still weren't. Because I feel like you married Tretch. You had your new family with Tretch. And you probably, the way I interpret it, didn't assimilate him into that family. You kept him over there where he was while you lived this life. And so I do think they came to some sort of understanding. One therapy session isn't going to fix everything, but I think they did start hearing each other. And that's all you can really ask. So that's pretty much how this episode went down. We see next week we're going to see some flirting going on and some other stuff that's going to go down. But for the most part, that's how the episode went down. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I know it's a little late, but, you know, let me know what's up. Peace.